Today we're going to talk about something that probably affects you more than you realize. The constant comparison between your artwork and what you see on social media. How many times have you scrolled through Instagram or TikTok and thought, my art will never be that good, or why don't my paintings look like that? How can you curb the urge to compare? Later on in the video, I'll have 3 ways that you can curb that constant comparison trap that we all fall into. I'll also talk about what new things are going to be happening, what's happened over the past week. And so stick around to the end because I'm pretty excited about some of the things that we're going to be doing. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a 52-year-old Gen Xer, and I'm using my marketing and art history background to create an art business. I also created this YouTube channel as a place where people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond can get together, find inspiration from each other, and take a chance on their art. For anyone who's new, welcome. And for anyone who's returning, thanks for coming back. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed. I now have more subscribers who are not related to me than the ones who I had in my first week, who were all mostly just related to me. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So this week I started the painting behind me here. I mentioned in my video last week that I was starting this painting, Small Town Vespers, and the plan was to have the painting done by the time I shot the video. Obviously, that it's still a work in progress. I'm really happy with the progress that I made. But I started it on Sunday, and I had a different plan for what this video was going to be. We're also doing a little bit of a different format. In my previous videos, I had everything very scripted, and this week we're trying something new because we're new, so we can try and see what works. I'm using bullet points to try and make it a little more conversational and not so wooden. So yeah, painting, I thought I had a plan that it was going to be talking about how to manage your time and make time for art and fit it into your busy life. I work a nearly full-time job. I work 35 hours a week, 8 o'clock to 12, 12:30 to 3:30. And I have a family. We have a daughter who's still at home. She's in high school. My mom lives in town. So, there's a lot of things going on. So my thought was to document the process, start to finish, and give a breakdown of how much time it took for everything. And I will still do that in another video. I think that's really important because one of the things that kept me from making art was my excuses that I didn't have time. And when I started recording and then seeing how much I could get done in 15, 20 minutes, an hour was kind of amazing to me. So that will be a future video, but I had a different thought process when I actually started the mechanics of painting. In my initial videos, I talked about gessoing and how I sand the canvas after I gesso it, doing the preliminary sketch and toning the canvas. When I started actually painting and videotaping, and that was a new process to videotape while I was painting and documenting that, I was really struggling. I kept questioning what I was doing and doubting myself. And then I remembered a video that I watched earlier this week. I found a channel by a woman named Jackie Wolven, and she had a video called Unfollowing Everyone, where she talked about parasocial relationships, whittling down her Instagram following, the influence of seeing a lot of artists, and what it does to our creative voice. I'll have a link below because it's a really good video. I watched it and I thought, that's interesting. Didn't really give it a second thought at that time. But when I was painting, it popped into my head. I had it in back of my brain next to all the 80s song lyrics and other important things that I have. So it came back to me while I was painting because the struggle that I had when I was painting was I was listening to that little voice in my head that said, well, how would such and such artist paint clouds? Or, ooh, that's not how such and such an artist does that. And it really hit me that I really need to work on my own style and to find my own artistic voice. Because here's the thing, when we keep bombarding ourselves with other people's art, and it's not a bad thing, like, don't get me wrong, you can get inspired by people, which is great, but there's a fine line between inspiration and imitation, because what happens is that we slowly kind of morph into listening to that voice where it says, well, I don't think you're doing that right because that's not how so and so paints clouds. And those aren't the colors. In my earlier video, I have a part where I'm talking about I bought two specific blue colors. They're beautiful and I use them in the sky, King's Blue Light and King's Blue Deep, because an artist who I had been following used that in his paintings of cloudscapes. And I was influenced to buy this paint because that's what I had seen. So when we constantly expose ourselves to other artists' work, we kind of adopt their techniques and their subject matter and their colors. It's like we're trying to fit our artistic voice into someone else's mold. So how can we break free of this comparison trap? Here's 3 things that you can try. You can audit your social media. So take a look at the time that you spend scrolling on social media, and that helps to kind of get an idea of how much time you're allocating. And then just kind of take inventory of how you feel after you've scrolled through Instagram for 15 minutes. Do you feel good, or are you feeling like I don't know, just take an internal temperature of how you're feeling after doing that. And you can pare down what you're following. If it's not bringing you joy, then get rid of it. Number 2, set boundaries. Like I mentioned in number 1, track and see how much time you spend on social media. So you can set timers to limit your time, that it pops up and lets you know how much time you've been spending. Limit your time to specific hours. Like maybe you only do that in the early evening. Maybe you make a rule that you don't do that before you get ready for work in the morning or before breakfast. Go into your phone and use app timers so that it takes it out of your control. It puts kind of a well, not a physical, but a little pop-up that reminds you that you're nearing your allotted time for social media scrolling. And create designated offline creator days where you don't have your phone next to you when you're painting. Number 3, focus on your own journey. Start keeping an art journal so you can keep track of your progress. My daughters actually have quite a few journals between the two of them, and they go back and they look at previous work that they've done, usually to kind of, cringe at, oh my God, I can't believe I used to draw faces with eyelashes coming out of their eyeballs and stuff like that. But it's good to revisit how far you've come along in your process. Document your own growth instead of comparing it to others. Celebrate your own small wins and improvements, because really this is your journey. And every artist started somewhere. They didn't become who they are by copying others. They found their own voice. And that's something that I need to work on to become more confident in my own voice. Because watching other people and being inspired by their art is great, but remember to be true to yourself. Because when I realized what I was doing, that I was listening to that voice in my head that was telling me that I was doing things the wrong way, the painting process became easier. I struggled less. I don't have that on video because my camera battery died, but the internal battle in my head quieted, and it just became a more enjoyable process. So here's something to try. Set aside 1 hour to create something without any references, without checking your phone, without thinking what others might think. Just you and your creativity flowing freely. The art world needs your unique voice, not another copy of someone else's. Your experiences, your perspective, your style, that's what makes your art special. So let's talk about this in the comments below. How has social media influenced your art and artistic journey? Have you done anything to cut down the amount of social media that you've been consuming? Let me know in the comments. So this week, I started doing something differently that I haven't done before. I started not just consuming social media, but actually commenting. I know, being the social part of social media, which revolutionary. I do Instagram and obviously YouTube. And this week and yeah, mostly this week, I started actually commenting on people's posts and videos. And I found a, a, I found a lot of new creators to follow. And I don't know why I didn't really do that before. I was a consumer of social media, but I wasn't a contributor to social media. It's one of those things that I just I didn't know if I had anything relevant to say. And it sparked a memory. Before I started university, we had an orientation weekend. And at the end, we all had to write, everyone had a piece of paper and everyone had to write nice things about everyone in their group. And I can't remember anyone who's in my group because it was 1990. So that was 35 years ago. But one comment was that I do have important things to say. I just need to find the courage to say them. So I found courage this week. So I found some great new channels to follow. I found, like I mentioned, Jackie Wolven, and I found Anne Livingston. And because of a video series that Anne is doing on her channel, I've decided to join her 10 painting art series challenge. So I was telling my husband about this, that I joined this because I need to produce more art. I want to make a website to sell art, and so I need more than just, a couple of paintings to put on there. And he said, "Oh, that's great that you joined this challenge. So 10 paintings. So like that's a year, right?" Because he knows how quickly I produce paintings. And I said, "No, that's 10 weeks." And he's like, "Oh, okay. That is a challenge. That is the goal. 10 paintings, 10 weeks. This is painting number 1. I'm doing a series of 10 landscapes in oil, 16 by 20. So we'll see how many I make in 10 weeks. I have, I'm feeling good about this, that I can get this done. So, but if I don't, I will give myself the grace that, like I have some things coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going away for a couple of days and I have an event the next weekend. So I just have to be okay with shooting for this. And if I get 9 paintings done, that will be good. There is a hashtag on Instagram. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but I will find that. I posted a progress shot of this. It wasn't this advanced, but I'm really excited about getting a bunch of paintings done. Oh, and she's going to post them on her website. I will talk about that when we get closer because the deadline is April 3rd, I believe. I found a bunch of other really awesome channels, and I'll be talking about them as we go along because there's some great stuff out there. And I can let all, as of today, my 20 subscribers know, and yeah, follow along because there's some interesting perspectives out there and you can learn a lot from all of these creative voices. So going back to the beginning part, remember the next time you feel the urge to compare yourself to someone else, stop, take a breath, and remind yourself that your artistic journey is uniquely yours. Don't forget to subscribe for more content about developing your authentic artistic voice. I'm not going to pretend that I am an expert because I am still working through it. Maybe we can talk about it and figure this out. So until next time, keep creating, and most importantly, keep being uniquely you. Take care, and we'll talk soon.